The message from the Galactic Council arrived on Earth during a quiet morning. Linda Hayes stood in the communication room watching the alien face appear on the screen. The creature had blue skin that looked like glass, and its voice sounded cold and formal. The human representative must come to the council station within 3 days. You must answer questions about your ships entering our space without permission. Linda felt her stomach tighten. 3 human ships had disappeared in the past month near the Helix Nebula. Nobody knew what happened to them. Now the council wanted to blame Earth for breaking rules that were never clear in the first place. After the message ended, Linda turned to her assistant, Peter Grant. He was young but smart, always carrying his computer tablet everywhere. "This is a trap," Peter said quietly. "The Kronar Empire has been complaining about humans for months. They want the council to punish us." Linda nodded. She had worked with alien governments for 5 years now. She knew how they thought. If Earth sent a small peaceful ship to the meeting, the aliens would see weakness. But if Earth sent too many military ships, the aliens would call humans aggressive and dangerous.
"Get me Admiral Kevin Barnes on the line," Linda said.
"We need help." An hour later, Linda was talking to the Admiral through a video screen. Kevin Barnes was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had fought in many space battles before. He listened carefully as Linda explained the situation. "They are trying to force you into a corner," Kevin said. "If you go in a civilian shuttle, you will be at their mercy. The Kronar are known for arresting diplomats when it helps them. The Council never stops them. But we cannot send warships," Linda argued. "That would make everything worse. They would say humans are trying to start a war." Kevin smiled a little. "Who said anything about warships? I am thinking about something more clever. Have you heard about the Valiant?" Linda had heard rumors. People whispered about a new human ship that was more advanced than anything else in space. The official records called it a diplomatic escort vessel. But Linda suspected it was much more than that. "How diplomatic is this ship?" Linda asked carefully. Kevin's smile grew wider. "Diplomatic enough to keep you safe. Strong enough to make sure everyone respects you. Trust me, Ambassador. This ship will send the right message." 2 days later, Linda stood in the space station above Earth, looking at the Valiant for the first time. The ship floated in the construction bay, dark gray and sleek. It looked fast and dangerous even while sitting still. The hull seemed to drink in the light instead of reflecting it. Linda had read the secret files about this ship during her flight to the station. She knew the truth now. The Valiant carried enough weapons to destroy a small planet. "Beautiful, is she not?" a voice said beside her. Linda turned and saw a man in a blue military uniform walking toward her. He was maybe 40 years old, with brown hair and sharp green eyes. His uniform had captain badges on it. "Captain Ryan Mitchell," Linda said, shaking his hand. "Admiral Barnes told me you would be commanding this mission." "That is correct, Ambassador," Ryan said. "My crew and I will make sure you reach the council station safely. The Valiant might look like a diplomatic ship, but she is the most powerful vessel humans have ever built. Nothing out there can hurt us." Linda studied his confident face. "I hope we do not have to prove that, Captain." "So do I," Ryan said, becoming more serious. "But if something happens, the galaxy will learn that humans are not easy to intimidate. Come on, let me show you your room. We leave in 3 hours." As they walked up the ramp into the ship, Linda looked back one more time at the Valiant. She felt that this trip would change everything. Humanity was about to make a statement that would echo through the stars. She just hoped Earth was ready for what came next. The inside of the Valiant impressed Linda. Everything looked new and efficient. The walls were smooth metal and soft lights showed the way through the corridors. Crew members moved quickly and quietly, nodding to their captain as he passed. Linda could feel the power of the ship humming beneath her feet. Ryan brought her to the bridge, the command center of the ship. It was a round room filled with computer screens and control stations. A young woman with red hair turned from one of the screens. "Ambassador Hayes, this is my second in command, Lieutenant Commander Karen Phillips. She handles all our weapons and defense systems." Karen shook Linda's hand firmly. "Welcome aboard, Ambassador. The captain has been excited about this mission." "Has he?" Linda asked, looking at Ryan with amusement. "It is nice to finally show what the Valiant can do," Ryan admitted. "Karen, show the Ambassador our flight path." Karen touched some controls and a 3-dimensional map appeared in the air. A glowing line showed their route from Earth to the council station. The line passed through several star systems and alien territories. "We will travel through the neutral corridor," Karen explained. According to diplomatic law, we have the right to safe passage. But we will cross near Kronar space in about 18 hours. That is where things might get interesting. Interesting how? Linda asked, though she thought she knew the answer. The Kronar have been making complaints about human ships using their space without permission, Ryan said. They ignore the fact that the neutral corridor has been open to everyone for over 100 years. They want an excuse to threaten us, and a human diplomatic ship is an easy target. So you expect trouble, Linda said. I expect them to try to scare us, Ryan corrected. But the Valiant is ready for more than empty threats. Let me show you what I mean. He nodded to Karen, who brought up another hologram. This one showed the Valiant herself, slowly rotating in the air. Linda had seen the outside of the ship, but now she was seeing all the secret systems. On the surface, the Valiant looks like a standard escort ship, Ryan explained. Moderate shields, basic weapons, nothing that would alarm the Council. But that is only what their sensors will detect. In reality, every system on the ship has hidden capabilities. He gestured, and the hologram expanded to show secret compartments and disguised weapons. Our main gun is actually a particle accelerator that can punch through any shield in the galaxy. Those cargo bays are drone launch tubes with 200 small fighters inside, and our shields use new technology that gets stronger when enemies shoot at us. Linda felt a chill. This is not a diplomatic escort. This is a warship pretending to be one. Exactly, Ryan confirmed. The Valiant is humanity's answer to a simple question. How do we show our strength without looking like we want to fight? The answer is we hide our power until we need it. Some people would call that lying, Linda said carefully. I call it survival, Ryan replied. The older alien races have had thousands of years to build their empires. Humans have been in space for only 200 years, and already we are surrounded by species that fear us or hate us. The Valiant gives us the ability to speak politely while carrying the biggest weapon in the room. Before Linda could respond, a beep came from the communication station. The young man there looked up with worry on his face. Captain, we are receiving a message. A Kronar patrol wants us to stop for inspection. Ryan's face did not change, but Linda saw something shift in his eyes. How many ships, Lieutenant Davis? 4 cruisers, sir. They just appeared from hyperspace and are moving to intercept us. Karen pulled up screens showing 4 Kronar vessels surrounding them. Each ship was bigger than the Valiant, covered with weapons and armor. The Kronar had ruled their part of space for thousands of years, and their confidence showed. They are not wasting time, Karen muttered. This was planned. They were waiting for us. Ryan moved to his command chair, his whole body language changing from tour guide to warrior. Ambassador, I need you to trust me now. We are about to have a conversation, and I need you to let me handle it. Linda nodded slowly, moving to stand beside Karen. Her heart was beating fast, but she kept her face calm. This was the moment Admiral Barnes had prepared her for. The moment when humanity would either be respected or dismissed as weak. Open a communication channel, Ryan ordered. The main screen turned on, showing the bridge of the lead Kronar ship. The alien commander was huge, maybe 8 feet tall with thick armor plates covering his body. He had 4 arms ending in claws. His species had evolved as hunters, and everything about him screamed danger. Human ship, the Kronar growled in a voice like grinding rocks. I am Commander Vrak of the Kronar Imperial Fleet. You are traveling through our space without permission. Turn off your engines and prepare to be searched. Ryan leaned back in his chair, looking relaxed and calm. Commander Vrak, this is Captain Ryan Mitchell of the Earth vessel Valiant. We are traveling through the neutral corridor on a diplomatic mission to the Galactic Council. According to all treaties, we have the right to pass through safely. Treaties made before we understood how dangerous your species is, Vrak snarled. Too many human ships have been found where they should not be. We will inspect your vessel to make sure you are not carrying weapons or illegal goods. I am afraid that will not be possible, Ryan said smoothly. As a diplomatic mission, the Valiant is protected by Council law. Any attempt to board us would be an act of war. Vrak's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. A war you cannot win, human. Your SMA? Part 2. Ryan looked at Commander Vrak on the screen and sighed quietly. He glanced at Karen, who nodded slightly and put her hands on her control panel ready for action. Commander Vrak, Ryan said, his voice becoming harder and colder. You are making a mistake. I strongly suggest you let us pass peacefully. Threats from a prey species. Vrak laughed, the sound like rocks crushing together. You have 10 seconds to surrender, or we will open fire. 10, 9, 8. Ryan made a small gesture to Karen. Show them what we really are. The lights on the bridge dimmed slightly as the Valiant's true power came online. Linda watched the computer screens as hidden systems activated. Shield generators that had been running at low power suddenly flared to full strength. Weapon ports opened along the hull, revealing guns that no diplomatic ship should have. On the main screen, Vrak's countdown stopped. Linda could see confusion spreading across his alien face as his own sensors updated with new information about the ship he had been threatening. "What is this?" Vrak demanded. "Your ship readings are changing." "It cannot be possible." "The Valiant is a fully armed warship," Ryan interrupted calmly. "She is one of a new generation of human vessels designed specifically to deal with threats like you, Commander. Your 4 cruisers are big and impressive, but let me be very clear. If you open fire, all 4 of your ships will be destroyed before you even scratch our shields. Is that really how you want this to end?" The silence that followed felt like it lasted forever. Linda could see Vrak's crew working frantically at their stations, no doubt trying to verify what their sensors were telling them. The Kronar commander's confidence had disappeared, replaced by the slow realization that he had trapped something far more dangerous than he expected. "This is impossible," Vrak said, but his voice sounded uncertain now. No single human ship could defeat 4 Kronar cruisers. "Test it if you want," Ryan said, still sounding conversational and calm. "But ask yourself, Commander, is this worth dying for? We are on a diplomatic mission. We are not looking for a fight. But if you force one, we will finish it. The choice is yours." Linda watched the alien commander's face change as he processed his options. She could see anger, fear, and calculation in his expression. Finally, Vrak's shoulders slumped slightly, a gesture that seemed to mean submission across many species. "You may pass," he said curtly, "but the Council will hear about this deception." "I am counting on it," Ryan replied. "Safe travels, Commander." The transmission ended, and Linda watched as the 4 Kronar cruisers slowly turned off their weapons and changed course, allowing the Valiant to pass without interference. The bridge crew stayed silent until the alien ships had fallen far behind them. Then everyone seemed to exhale with relief at the same time. Ryan stood and turned to Linda, his face serious. "That was just the first test, Ambassador. It will get harder from here." Linda nodded, finding her voice. "I know, but you just started something big, Captain. The Kronar will not forget this." "Good," Ryan said with a slight smile. "The galaxy needs to understand that humanity is not prey anymore. We are players in this game, and we are done apologizing for being strong." The Valiant jumped to faster than light speed, leaving the Kronar patrol far behind. Linda returned to her room to rest and think about what had just happened. She stared out the window at the streaking stars, her mind full of questions about the future. Hours passed as the Valiant traveled through space. Linda spent time reviewing her notes and preparing for the council meeting. She knew the Kronar would try to use what happened against her. They would call it proof that humans were warmongers and liars. She needed to be ready with answers. Ryan invited her to dinner in the officers' mess hall that evening. It was a small room with a table that could seat 6 people. Karen was there along with Lieutenant Davis from Communications and a few other senior officers. "How are you holding up, Ambassador?" Karen asked as they ate. "I am nervous," Linda admitted. "We made the Kronar look weak today. They will want revenge." "They were already planning to cause trouble," Ryan said. "We just made it clear that intimidation will not work on us. That is an important message." "What do you know about the missing ships?" Linda asked. "The Phoenix, the Explorer, and the Constellation. Do you really think the Kronar took them?" Ryan exchanged glances with Karen before answering. "Our intelligence suggests they were involved somehow. But the pattern does not quite fit. The Kronar are aggressive, but they are not usually subtle. They prefer direct confrontation. Ambushing merchant ships and making them disappear seems too clever for their usual tactics. So someone else might be responsible?" Linda asked. "Maybe," Karen said. "Or maybe the Kronar are working with someone. Either way, those 3 crews are still missing, and we need answers." The conversation shifted to lighter topics after that, but Linda could not stop thinking about the missing ships. Somewhere out in the dark of space, human crews might still be alive, waiting for rescue, or they might already be dead, victims of a plot she did not yet understand. The next morning, Linda was awakened by an alarm. She rushed to the bridge still wearing her sleep clothes, finding Ryan and his crew at their stations. "What is happening?" she asked. "We are approaching the council station," Ryan said. "And we have a welcoming committee. Look at this." The main screen showed the council station, a massive ring structure orbiting a yellow sun. But what caught Linda's attention were all the ships surrounding it. Dozens of military vessels from different species floated in formation around the station. "That is at least twice the normal patrol presence," Karen reported. "They are making a show of force, trying to intimidate us before we even arrive." Ryan studied the screens thoughtfully. "They want us to feel small and outnumbered. Lieutenant Davis, contact the station and request docking clearance." Davis worked his controls for a moment, then frowned. "Sir, the station is directing us to dock in Section 77. That is on the outer edge, far away from the diplomatic quarters." "Of course it is," Linda said bitterly. "They want me to walk through the entire station to reach the council chambers. It is a power play designed to remind me that I am on their territory." Ryan's eyes narrowed. "Not today. Davis, tell them we require proper docking space according to council rules. Reference Decree 447 about protocols for major species representatives." Linda raised an eyebrow. "You have been studying council law?" "I do not go anywhere unprepared," Ryan replied. "Decree 447 says that major species must get access to primary docking areas. Humanity might be new to space, but our economic and military power makes us important. The council has to respect that whether they like it or not." Davis smiled as he worked. "Station control is arguing, sir, but they are reassigning us. We are going to dock 12 in the diplomatic sector, right next to the Varathian delegation." "Perfect," Ryan said with satisfaction. "That will send the right message to everyone watching." An hour later, the Valiant was docked and secured. Linda had changed into her formal diplomatic suit, blue and silver to represent Earth. Ryan wore his dress uniform, and Karen stood beside him with 6 Marines in powered armor. They looked impressive and dangerous, a clear statement that humans came in peace but were not defenseless. "Remember," Linda said quietly to Ryan as they prepared to leave the ship, "once we are inside the station, this becomes about politics and diplomacy. I need you to let me handle things unless violence starts." "Understood," Ryan said. "But I am not leaving your side. The Valiant will keep constant sensor contact with your position. If anything goes wrong, we can transport you back to the ship in seconds." The airlock opened, revealing the inside of the council station. 3 aliens were waiting to greet them. Linda recognized their species immediately. A Varathian with crystal blue skin, a tall bird-like creature from the Kellis Collective, and a short, heavily armored being from the Kronar Empire. "Ambassador Hayes," the Varathian said, his face reflecting light like a prism. "I am Counselor Thresh. Welcome to the council station. I trust your journey was smooth." Linda noticed the slight emphasis he put on the last word and smiled. "Eventful enough, Counselor. We had a minor disagreement with a Kronar patrol about neutral corridor rights. I hope that misunderstanding has been cleared up." The Kronar representative, who said his name was Subcommander Grath, growled deep in his throat. "There was no misunderstanding. Your ship is a warship pretending to be a diplomatic vessel. Such lies and deception are not acceptable. Standard practice among many species here," Linda interrupted smoothly. "Are you saying that Varathian diplomatic ships do not carry weapons? That Kelly's delegations do not travel with armed guards? Humanity is simply following rules that others established long ago." Thresh's crystal face stayed neutral, but Linda thought she saw something like amusement in his eyes. "The ambassador makes a fair point. Perhaps we should continue this discussion in a more appropriate place. The council meeting begins in 2 hours. I will escort you to your rooms." As they walked through the station, Linda felt many eyes watching them. Aliens from dozens of species stopped to stare at the human delegation. The Marines kept formation around her, their armor shining under the lights, and Ryan walked at her side like a protective shadow. They passed through a huge open area where holographic screens. Part 3, the council chambers, were even more intimidating than Linda had imagined. The room was shaped like a huge sphere, with seats arranged in rings that rose up on all sides. Hundreds of alien representatives sat in their places, representing species from across the galaxy. At the center of everything stood a small platform where she would have to stand, surrounded by empty space. Linda walked forward, feeling the weight of countless eyes watching her every move. Ryan and Karen stayed at the entrance with the Marines. This was her fight now, and she had to face it alone. Ambassador Linda Hayes of Earth, A deep voice boomed through the chamber. The speaker was the council chair, an ancient being from a species called the Eldest. They had been traveling the stars when humans were still living in caves. You stand before the Galactic Council to answer charges of breaking territorial laws and expanding without permission. What do you say to these charges? Linda raised her chin, speaking clearly and strongly. The charges are false, and I am here to prove it. A murmur ran through the assembled delegates like wind through trees. Sub-Commander Grath rose from his seat, his massive body casting shadows across the chamber. False? He thundered. 3 human vessels were detected in restricted space. 3 vessels that refused to obey proper authority. This is an act of aggression that we cannot ignore. 3 vessels that disappeared, Linda countered firmly. 3 crews that never came home. You claim they broke your laws, but you provide no evidence. No sensor recordings, no communication logs, no proof of any kind. Just accusations and demands that we submit to your authority. Are you calling the Kronar Empire liars? Grath roared, and several other delegates voiced their agreement with him. Linda stood her ground, not showing any fear. I am saying that the one making accusations must provide proof. Show me evidence that those ships violated your territory. Show me what happened to them. If you cannot do that, then this council has no right to judge humanity. The Eldest Chair spoke again, his ancient voice cutting through the noise. The ambassador makes a valid point. Commander Grath, present your evidence to the council. For a long moment, silence filled the chamber. Grath's expression changed several times, and Linda knew she had him cornered. There was no evidence because the ships had never violated anything. They had been taken or destroyed by the Kronar as an excuse for this confrontation. The evidence was destroyed when we captured the vessels, Grath finally said, but his voice lacked the confidence it had before. How convenient, Linda replied with sharp sarcasm. So we have only your word that these ships did anything wrong. Meanwhile, 3 human crews are missing, and you offer no explanation for what happened to them. She turned to address the full council, speaking to everyone now. Humanity joined the galactic community in good faith. We have followed your laws, respected your borders, and contributed to the common good. But we will not be bullied by empires that see us as threats simply because we refuse to bow down. Our ship, the Valiant, exists because we must protect ourselves in a galaxy that judges us before knowing us. Your ship is a weapon of war, a Varathian delegate called out. A deception that violates the spirit of peaceful diplomatic relations. Our ship is a necessity, Linda shot back, and every species in this chamber knows it. You may not like that humanity has grown strong, but strength is not a crime. What is a crime is the disappearance of 3 vessels and 3 crews with no explanation. That is what this council should be investigating, not manufactured charges that have no evidence. The chamber erupted into loud debate, delegates shouting over each other in dozens of different languages. Linda stood at the center of it all, her heart pounding hard but her face staying calm. This was the moment she had been preparing for. The moment when humanity would either be accepted as equals or forever marked as outsiders. The Eldest Chair raised one hand, and silence gradually fell over the room. This matter requires careful thought and discussion. The council will take a break for 6 hours to consider the evidence and arguments presented. Ambassador Hayes, you are free to return to your quarters. We will call for you when a decision has been reached. Linda bowed respectfully and turned to leave. As she walked back toward Ryan and the others, she caught his slight nod of approval. They had made their case strongly. Now they could only wait to see if the galaxy was ready to listen. Back in her quarters, Linda paced back and forth like a caged animal. 6 hours had passed since the council session ended, and still no word about their decision. Ryan sat at the communication console, watching reports from the Valiant and monitoring information feeds from across the station. You should rest, he said without looking up from his screens. You gave them plenty to think about. That is what worries me, Linda replied, still pacing. I backed them into a corner. The Kronar cannot provide evidence because there is none, but that also means they will never admit they did anything wrong. We are stuck. Karen entered from the next room, her expression troubled and worried. Captain, we might have a serious problem. One of our listening stations just intercepted an encrypted transmission from the Kronar delegation to their military fleet. They are moving warships toward this sector. Ryan stood up instantly, his body tense. How many ships are coming? At least 12 capital ships, maybe more. They are not trying to hide it either. It is a show of force designed to intimidate the council into ruling against us. Linda felt her blood turn cold. They are preparing for war. If the Council rules in our favor, the Kronar will use it as an excuse to attack. And if the Council rules against us, they will demand we submit to Kronar authority completely. Either way, we lose, Ryan said grimly. He activated his wrist communicator. Valiant, this is Mitchell. Bring all defensive systems online and start calculating jump coordinates. If this situation gets worse, we need to be ready to leave immediately. Understood, Captain, came the response from the ship. But sir, you should know we are detecting some unusual energy readings from the outer edge of the system. It could be nothing, but we are investigating. The communication suddenly cut off, replaced by harsh static noise. Ryan's expression turned dark. Valiant, respond immediately. Valiant, do you hear me? Nothing but silence came back. Karen was already at the console, her fingers moving fast across the controls. I am reading massive electromagnetic interference across all communication frequencies. Someone is jamming our signals deliberately. Captain, this is a coordinated attack on our systems. Before Ryan could respond, alarms began screaming throughout the station. The lights flickered and dimmed, and Linda heard distant explosions echoing through the corridors. Through the window, she saw flashes of weapon fire lighting up the darkness of space like lightning. We are under attack, Ryan said, his voice deadly calm despite the chaos. Marines, take defensive positions around the ambassador. Ambassador, stay close to me at all times. The door to their quarters burst open violently and Counselor Thresh rushed in. His crystal features showed cracks of stress running through them like broken glass. Ambassador Hayes, Captain Mitchell, you must come with me right now. The station is under assault by unknown forces. Who is attacking us? Linda demanded, following him quickly into the corridor. Unknown vessels. But their fighting tactics match Kronar military methods exactly, Thresh said, leading them at a run through increasingly chaotic passages. Aliens of many species rushed past in panic, and Linda could hear the screech of energy weapons growing closer. They are targeting the council chambers and all the docking bays. This is an attempted coup to take control of the station. They rounded a corner fast and nearly crashed into Sub-Commander Grath with a squad of Kronar soldiers behind him. The massive alien raised a large weapon, pointing it straight at Linda's chest. Going somewhere, Ambassador? Grath snarled with malice in his voice. This is where your defiance and arrogance has led us. The Kronar Empire is taking control of this station, and you will witness the price of human pride. Ryan moved with incredible speed, drawing his sidearm and placing himself directly between Linda and the Kronar weapon. His Marines raised their rifles immediately, creating a tense standoff in the narrow corridor. You are betraying the Council and every law of civilization, Ryan said quietly, but with steel in his voice. This is an act of war against every species represented on this station. This is an act of necessity and survival, Grath replied coldly. The Council has grown weak and pathetic, allowing prey species like humanity to challenge their natural superiors. The Kronar will restore proper order to the galaxy, starting with eliminating you. Before either side could fire their weapons, a huge explosion rocked the entire station. The lights went out completely, replaced by red emergency lighting that made everything look like a nightmare. In the confusion and darkness, Thresh grabbed Linda's arm hard and pulled her into a hidden side passage. This way. Move quickly now. Ryan and his team followed immediately, and Linda heard weapons fire erupt behind them as other delegates fought against the Kronar forces. The peaceful station had become a war zone in just minutes. Thresh led them through maintenance corridors and emergency access tunnels, moving with a familiarity that suggested he had planned escape. Part 4 Grath's threatening voice suddenly echoed through the entire station's communication system, making everyone freeze in place. Attention all personnel on this station. The Council facility is now under complete Kronar military authority and control. All delegates and visitors will proceed immediately to the central gathering area for identification processing. Any resistance or disobedience will be met with immediate lethal force. Linda felt a wave of despair wash over her like cold water. We need to transmit this evidence to the rest of the Council representatives. If the delegates realize and understand what the Kronar have actually done, they will turn against them. They will never get the chance to learn the truth, Ryan interrupted firmly. Grath is not planning to let anyone survive who knows what really happened. This is not just a political coup anymore. This is the beginning of a massacre designed to eliminate all witnesses. Karen's wrist communicator suddenly crackled to life with static, and they heard the strained voice of an officer from the Valiant. Captain, We have finally managed to cut through their jamming signals using our quantum relay backup system. The ship itself is completely undamaged, but we are detecting multiple Kronar warships entering the system from hyperspace. They are moving into position to surround the entire station. How many enemy ships are we facing? Ryan demanded urgently. 20 capital warships and still counting, sir. This is a full battle group with enough firepower to level this entire facility. Linda felt complete despair trying to overwhelm her. Even the powerful Valiant could not possibly fight an entire fleet of that size alone. They were trapped on a station under violent siege, surrounded by heavily armed enemies, with evidence that could expose a massive conspiracy, but no way to actually deliver it to anyone who mattered. We need a plan right now, she said quietly, but with determination. And we need it immediately. Ryan was silent for a long moment, clearly thinking hard. Then his expression changed and hardened with fierce determination. Thresh, can you broadcast these evidence files to every single ship in this entire system? Not just to council representatives, but to absolutely everyone within range? The station's main communication array was damaged in the initial attack, but I might be able to use the emergency broadcast system instead, Thresh said slowly, considering the possibilities. It was designed specifically to reach all vessels in this sector simultaneously during crisis situations. But the signal would be completely unencrypted and available for everyone to intercept and read. That is exactly perfect for what we need, Ryan said with growing confidence. Because we are not just going to expose the Kronar conspiracy to the council delegates. We are going to expose their crimes to the entire galaxy, where they cannot possibly hide or deny it. Linda felt hope starting to reignite inside her chest. You want to make this completely public and transparent. Force the truth out into the open where the Kronar cannot possibly bury it or cover it up. Exactly right, Ryan confirmed. But we need to buy enough time for the full broadcast to go out and reach everyone. Which means the Valiant needs to keep those Kronar warships busy and distracted for as long as possible. Karen's eyes went wide with shock. Captain, that would be suicide for the ship and crew. One vessel against 20 warships with superior numbers? One ship that they still do not fully understand or know the capabilities of, Ryan replied with a slight confident smile. The Valiant was specifically built and designed to be the galaxy's most powerful warship. Now is the time to actually prove that claim is true. Karen, you are coming with me back to the ship. Ambassador, you stay here safely with Thresh and coordinate getting the broadcast transmitted. Marines, you remain on guard duty protecting them at all costs. Linda grabbed Ryan's arm desperately. You cannot possibly fight an entire fleet successfully and survive. I do not need to actually win the battle, Ryan said, his smile becoming slightly sad. I just need to survive long enough for the truth to get transmitted out. Trust me completely, Ambassador. We did not come this far through everything to lose and fail now. He turned sharply and ran toward the docking bay at full speed with Karen close behind him. Linda watched them disappear around a corner, then turned back to Thresh with renewed determination burning in her eyes. Show me exactly how to operate that emergency broadcast system. We have an entire galaxy that needs to wake up and see the truth. Captain Ryan Mitchell sprinted desperately through the damaged and smoking corridors of the council station, with Karen running at his side and the sound of weapons fire echoing constantly behind them. They burst through a doorway into the main docking bay to find absolute chaos everywhere. Several civilian ships were already pulling away frantically, their crews fleeing from the violence and destruction, while Kronar soldiers worked efficiently to seal off and capture the remaining vessels still docked. There is our ship, Karen pointed urgently. The Valiant sat undisturbed in her assigned berth, but she was completely surrounded by at least 20 armed hostile guards standing between them and safety. We are not getting through that many enemies without a serious fight, Karen said grimly, checking her weapon's power charge level. Who said we need to fight our way through them? Ryan replied calmly. He activated his secure communicator, speaking directly to his ship's computer systems. Valiant, this is Mitchell with emergency authorization code Alpha 79er. Execute autonomous defense protocol immediately and prepare for emergency departure sequence. On the docking platform below them, the Valiant suddenly came to life on her own. Her boarding ramp retracted smoothly. Her powerful engines began their startup sequence with a rising hum, and most importantly, her automated point defense weapon systems activated. Hidden turrets emerged quickly from concealed ports all along her hull, targeting the surprised Kronar soldiers with deadly precision and speed. The guards barely had enough time to shout confused warnings before concentrated streams of superheated plasma fire cut through their ranks efficiently. It was not elegant or honorable warfare. It was coldly efficient and brutally effective. Within 30 seconds of rapid firing, the entire path to the ship was completely clear of enemies. "Move fast now," Ryan ordered. They raced across the open platform and sealed themselves safely inside the Valiant. Ryan made it to the bridge in record time, dropping into his command chair as Karen took her familiar position at the tactical weapons station. "All hands, go to battle stations immediately," Ryan announced over the ship-wide intercom. "Disconnect all docking moorings and prepare for immediate combat launch. This is absolutely not a drill or exercise." The Valiant violently tore herself free from the station's docking clamps, her protective shields coming online and glowing just as Kronar weapons fire began impacting and exploding against her armored hull. Ryan guided his ship skillfully through the chaos surrounding the station's exterior, dodging floating debris and incoming enemy fire as they accelerated away from the massive damaged structure. "Give me a full status report immediately," he snapped. Karen's experienced fingers flew across her control console. 23 Kronar capital ships confirmed in the immediate area around us. They are forming a tight blockade completely around the station. I am reading weapons charging to full power on at least half of them right now. Let them charge their weapons all they want, Ryan said with grim determination. "Helm, bring us about to new heading. I want the station directly at our backs and all enemy vessels in our primary firing arc." "Sir?" the nervous helmsman asked with clear hesitation in his voice. "That tactical position will put us directly between them and the station as a shield." "I know exactly what it means," Ryan confirmed firmly. "Execute the maneuver now." The Valiant pivoted gracefully in open space, her sleek armored form now positioned deliberately as a protective shield between the Council station and the gathering Kronar fleet. On the main view screen, Ryan could clearly see the assembled warships, each one a massive behemoth of thick armor plating and heavy weaponry. Together, they represented enough devastating firepower to reduce an entire planet to lifeless ash and rubble, and he was going to fight all of them with just a single ship. "We have an incoming transmission," Davis reported from communications. "It is Commander Grath. Put him on the main screen." The Kronar commander's twisted face filled the view screen, his expression showing pure rage and hatred. "Human fool and insect, you cannot possibly win this fight against our superior forces. Surrender immediately now, and I will make your death relatively quick and painless." "Surrender to you?" Ryan actually laughed, the sound cold and sharp like breaking ice. "We are just getting started here. Here is my counteroffer for you. Power down all your weapons immediately. Withdraw your forces from this station and face proper judgment for your many crimes. You have exactly 60 seconds to comply with my demands." Grath's roar of pure fury was his only response before he angrily cut the transmission. "Sir, all Kronar vessels are moving into attack formation," Karen reported with tension in her voice. "They are targeting us with absolutely everything they have." "Good," Ryan said very quietly. "That means they are focusing on us and not targeting the station or anyone inside. How much time does—" Part 5. The remaining Kronar vessels had completely abandoned their cautious approach. Now they came in one massive coordinated assault, all 19 ships firing simultaneously in a complex pattern designed to overwhelm even the Valiant's impressive defenses. The space around the human warship became a hell of energy beams, missile trails, and plasma fire. The Valiant's shields flared white-hot under the relentless barrage, and for the first time Ryan felt his ship shudder under the impact. Warning lights began to flash across his console. "Shields down to 60%, Karen called out. "They are concentrating fire on our port quarter. If they breach the shields, we will start taking hull damage. Then we do not let them breach," Ryan said. He activated the ship-wide communication system. "All hands brace for emergency maneuver." His hands flew across the helm controls and the Valiant executed a series of movements that should have been impossible for a ship her size. She rolled, dove, and accelerated in patterns that defied conventional physics, her advanced engines and inertial dampeners allowing her to change direction with the grace of a fighter rather than a capital ship. The concentrated Kronar fire scattered as their target refused to stay still. Several of their own ships were caught in each other's crossfire, their shields flickering as friendly fire took its toll. "Now," Ryan commanded, "all drones attack pattern Omega. Main cannon, rapid fire on my mark." The Valiant's drone swarm split into 3 groups, each one diving toward a different Kronar vessel. They latched onto the alien ship's hulls, their cutting lasers slicing through armor to reach critical systems. At the same moment, the Valiant's main cannon began firing in rapid succession, each shot carefully aimed at the ships whose shields had been weakened by the drone attacks. 3 more Kronar vessels went dark, their systems cascading into failure. The fleet that had seemed so overwhelming minutes ago was now visibly shaken, their formation breaking apart as individual commanders made their own tactical decisions. "Ambassador Hayes is transmitting," Davis announced suddenly. "The broadcast is going out across all frequencies." On the view screen, a holographic image of Linda appeared, standing beside Counselor Thresh in the station's intelligence center. Behind them, displays showed all the evidence they had gathered. Communication logs, financial records, tactical data, the truth of the Kronar conspiracy laid bare for all to see. "This message is being sent to every ship, every station, every colony in this sector," Linda's voice rang out. "The Kronar Empire has been secretly supporting pirate attacks on vessels from multiple species. They have stolen technology, murdered crews, and conspired to undermine the Galactic Council itself. The evidence is irrefutable. The Empire's actions constitute crimes against galactic law and acts of war against peaceful species." Ryan watched as the transmission reached the Kronar fleet. He could see the moment when the ship's commanders realized what was happening, when they understood that their conspiracy had been exposed to the entire galaxy. "Sir, the Kronar ships are breaking off their attack," Karen reported with tension in her voice. "They are withdrawing." "No," Ryan said quietly, studying the tactical display. "They are regrouping. They know they cannot let that evidence stand. They are going to try to destroy the station and everyone on it." He was right. The Kronar vessels formed a new formation, all of them turning their weapons toward the Council station itself. If they could not silence the truth through secrecy, they would do it through destruction. "Captain, they are charging their main guns," Karen said urgently. "If they fire, the station will not survive." Ryan made his decision in an instant. "All power to forward shields. Put us directly between them and the station. If they want to destroy the evidence, they are going to have to go through us first." The Valiant moved into position, her damaged shield still flickering but holding. She stood alone between an entire fleet and their target, 1 ship against 19 refusing to yield. "This is insane," Karen whispered. "This is necessary," Ryan corrected. He opened a channel to the Kronar fleet. "This is Captain Ryan Mitchell of the Terran vessel Valiant. If you fire on that station, you will be firing on us. And if you fire on us, I promise you that not a single one of your ships will survive long enough to see what happens next. The galaxy is watching. The evidence is already spreading. You have lost. Stand down or die. Your choice." For a long, terrible moment, nothing happened. The Kronar ships held their position, weapons charged and ready. The Valiant stood her ground, shields flickering but defiant, and across the sector millions of beings watched and waited to see if war would come. Then, one by one, the Kronar ships began to power down their weapons. "They are withdrawing," Karen said in disbelief. "All ships are breaking formation and retreating." On the view screen, Commander Grath's face appeared one last time. He said nothing, but his expression spoke volumes. Rage, shame, and the bitter knowledge of defeat. Then his transmission cut, and his ship joined the others in their retreat. Ryan let out a breath he had not realized he was holding. "Stand down from red alert. Damage report. Shields at 38% but regenerating. Minor hull damage to the port quarter. No casualties." "Sir, we actually did it. We survived." "We did more than survive," Ryan said, slumping back in his command chair. "We made them blink first." "Davis, get me Ambassador Hayes." Linda's face appeared on the screen and Ryan could see the relief in her eyes. "Captain Mitchell, that was the most insane, reckless, brilliant thing I have ever witnessed." "Just doing my job, Ambassador," Ryan replied with a tired smile. "How is the situation on the station?" "Kronar forces are surrendering across all sectors. The Council is resuming control. And thanks to the broadcast, delegations from over 100 species have already filed formal complaints against the Kronar Empire. They are going to be dealing with the fallout from this for decades." "And our missing ships?" Linda's expression sobered. "Thresh is coordinating a rescue mission to the coordinates where the Wraiths were last spotted. If any of our people are still alive, we will bring them home." Ryan nodded. "Then it was worth it." Valiant out. He stood and walked to the observation window, staring out at the stars. Behind him, his crew worked to repair the damage and restore their ship to full functionality. In the distance, he could see the Council station, damaged but intact, a symbol of galactic civilization that had nearly been torn apart. "Captain," Karen approached quietly, "the Council is requesting your presence at an emergency session. Something about formal recognition of human military capabilities and treaty revisions." Ryan smiled slightly. "In other words, they want to make sure we play nice with our new toy." "Something like that. Are you going?" "Eventually," Ryan said. "But first I want a full system diagnostic on the Valiant. She saved all our lives today. The least we can do is make sure she is properly taken care of." As his crew worked and the station began its recovery, Ryan reflected on what they had accomplished. They had come expecting a diplomatic hearing and found themselves in the middle of a conspiracy that threatened the entire galactic order. They had fought impossible odds and emerged victorious not through overwhelming force but through courage, determination, and the willingness to stand for what was right. The galaxy had expected a shuttle, a token gesture of human participation in affairs beyond their understanding. Instead, they had witnessed the debut of the Valiant, a ship that represented everything humanity had become. Adaptive, resilient, and unwilling to back down from any challenge. The age of humanity being dismissed as newcomers was over. From this day forward, the galaxy would remember that humans did not just participate in galactic affairs. They shaped them, and the Valiant was just the beginning. 3 days later, Ambassador Linda Hayes stood before a fully reconvened Galactic Council. The chamber had been repaired, though scorch marks still marred some of the walls, a reminder of how close they had come to disaster. The eldest chair spoke, his ancient voice grave. "Ambassador Hayes, Captain Mitchell, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I offer our formal apology. The charges against humanity have been dismissed, and the Kronar Empire has been censured for their actions. 3 of their council seats have been suspended pending full investigation of the conspiracy." Linda nodded respectfully. "The Terran government accepts your apology. We hope this incident will lead to greater transparency and cooperation among all species." "Indeed," the chair agreed. "To that end, the Council wishes to propose a new treaty, one that formally recognizes humanity as a major galactic power, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. This would include permanent Council representation and participation in galactic defense coordination." Linda smiled. "We accept with one condition. The treaty must include provisions for joint investigation of the Wraith pirates and recovery of all stolen vessels and crews, regardless of species. What happened to our ships could happen to anyone. We need to stand together against such threats." The chair conferred with other council members, then nodded. "Your terms are acceptable. Let it be recorded that on this day, humanity takes its place as a full and equal member of the Galactic Council." Later, as Linda and Ryan walked through the station toward the docking bay where the Valiant waited, she reflected on how much had changed in just a few days.